What did you think about Three Body Problem Season 1?
What does a Wallfacer do, and how can you quit the job?
There wasn't enough room on the spaceship to send anything but Will's brain to meet the aliens. If you were going to send the best part of you to the aliens, what would it be?
We are Bugs, and we're going to be answering all those questions and more on Body Problems. It's a Three Body Problem podcast about the new Netflix adaptation. My name's Bubba, and with me, as always, is someone who's also had the Lord stop talking to him. It's Catfish.
Oh, Bubba, I'm so excited. You know, I considering it's probably pretty good that the Lord actually never started talking to me, because you don't want to feel that cold shoulder.
Right. You know, I originally started reading the Lord, nursery rhymes and fairy tales like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And then I was like, well, you know what? This is kind of getting old. So I wanted the Lord to stop talking to me. So I started reading him Dear Penthouse letters. Right. Edit already. We're already editing this podcast.
Oh, my God.
Hey, we're going to be breaking down the whole first season. If you haven't seen all 8 episodes of this first season of Three Body Problem, please pause the podcast, come back. We'll be waiting for you because we're going to talk about all of it, especially focused on these 4 final episodes. Our good buddy Double M Matt Murdick, he's going to be breaking down Ramin Djawadi's score and the music. Plus, we're going to have all sorts of feedback. Hey, we've already talked too much, Catfish. Do you want to rate the final 4 episodes or the season as a whole? What do you want to rate?
I'm going to rate the final 4 episodes because I actually had, I think, a markedly different rating.
Ooh, well, let's hear it. What'd you think of those final 4 episodes?
I gave them 7 out of 10, what I like to call triple Bs.
Triple Bs?
Well, we know our boy named Will. Probably his real name was Bill. So I'm just going to go with that. Bill's blasted brains right out into space. He's out there, and he's on the longest trip ever. Yeah, 7. So here's the deal. So I thought episode 5 was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
The whole ship thing, great. Episode 6, I felt like was kind of a wash. Auggie continues to bother me.
Whoa.
It's funny that I did not notice until these final episodes that our boy Will and our boy Saul, the new Wallfacer, were just around doing nothing until we actually needed them at the end of this season.
That's correct.
It's like, okay, we'll just have you around until we need you. In contradiction to what I just said, I actually wanted more episodes. I feel like things went really fast. There was some filler, but I really felt like things really accelerated, and we could have used, I would have enjoyed more episodes, unless there was more of Double A.
Double A?
Yeah, angsty Auggie.
Oh, she was rough there. She was rough. I can't wait to talk about her, but yeah.
Now we know why Will became a brain taking a tour through the universe, and Saul got a job that he's extremely underqualified for, uninterested in.
Right.
Things got kind of a little bit more emotional, and there was a stoppage for that kind of stuff when I thought there was a lot of interesting things happening scientifically and with the world that we could have spent more time with in the last 4. Okay,
well, Catfish, I love it when we agree. I also love it when we go opposite ways. I'm going crazy. I had a lot of problems with it, but when you hear my score, you're going to think I didn't have any problems. I went 9 double S's out of 10.
Double S's?
Well, there's nothing like grabbing the girl you're crazy about, going up on the roof, maybe a bottle of wine, and enjoying a Santi sunset. That's where you stare off into the sunset, but instead it's a giant eye of the Santi watching you. It's, very romantic. 9 out of 10. I gave the first book, I only read the first book, 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. I like the series more, so 9 out of 10. Now, I'm not saying 10 out of 10. This show has flaws.
Right.
Throughout the series, there were a lot of scenes that I thought, well, that's kind of clunky. And, it was very difficult. But when all was said and done, I watched episode 7 very late one night. And I'm like, I got to wake up. I got to go to work the next morning. But I was so hooked, I hit play. I knew I was going to stay up late. I needed to know what happened in episode 8. And I think this show came around. At various points in these final bunch of episodes, 5, 6, and 7, not only was I not on Team Auggie or Team Saul, I actually was frustrated and kind of hated both of them. But by the end, for me at least, the characters did turn around a bit. Auggie was complaining. Oh, we got to do something. And there, finally, at the end of episode 8, she is doing something. She is helping people with her technology. Saul was doing nothing. Finally, he may not realize he's doing it, but finally he's doing something at the end of episode 8. So I'm rooting for them to succeed. The Santi, let's give them the Santi and their human supporters. They are great antagonists. You want your heroes to overcome incredible challenges. This is a great challenge. They're in deep trouble. So even though it is not perfect at all. When I think about the feelings I have about those final 4, I'm going crazy. I'm going 9 out of 10. Whoa. Maybe too generous, but I was into it.
Wow, you are. I mean, I am fully in on the next season.
Oh yes,
for sure. We don't know if there's going to be one. Haven't really gotten the numbers. I haven't seen the numbers yet.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a bit. But boy,
okay.
It's trouble. So once again, we've given you our thoughts on these final 4 episodes, the whole season as a whole. We always say, who cares what we think? We want to know what you think. We got some great feedback. This first bit of feedback is from a true Double L loyal listener, Laura, who's at MesoCat on Twitter. Laura wrote, the only reason why I would pick this show up and watch it is because y'all are podcasting on it. Is it worth a try? Catfish, we finished 8 episodes. How do you answer Laura's question?
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. This is definitely worth a try. I will say this. I just saw the Apple show Constellation, and that one starts off great and completely falls apart by the end of it.
That's what Sepinwall said, yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't care what Sepinwall says. I'm telling you it completely falls apart by the end. And this, in comparison, so much stronger.
Tarika writes on Instagram, just said she's glad we're covering this. Then our good buddy, another great Double L loyal listener, Nick, who's at Nicholas Fortuna on Twitter. On our first podcast, we said, what'd you think of the first 4 episodes? Nick gave it 8 double A's out of 10.
Double A's?
Aggressive aliens. For these next 4, he'll say double A aggressive Auggies. He said, loving the show so far. Thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you, Nick. You are the best. Arbitrary Constant says, I absolutely loved it, and I thought the adaptation changes were nearly all improvements.
Ooh, thanks for that feedback, yeah.
Talking about the book, as you were talking about the book, Bubba, another listener, Roast Pork, says, Roast Pork, delicious name, says, Season 1 has all characters from book 1, 2, and 3, and some concurrent storylines happening from all 3 books. So book 1 only readers are going to be spoiled by book 2 and book 3 developments. But he says D&D and Woo didn't add in any new characters without roots from all 3 books.
Yeah, Catfish, it's so funny you talked about episode 6. Having read the first book, a lot of people have mentioned this. It really does feel like the first book ends at episode 5. And then the reason why episode 6 kind of feels slow is it's like, okay, we're now starting the next chapter, the next book, the next part of the story. Our good friend, our good podcast buddy, Priscilla on YouTube, who's Priscilla TV, she wrote, she's not a great science fiction fan, but she heard the source material didn't deal with women's issues or race, so she didn't think the Game of Thrones showrunners would screw it up. So that's why she's watching.
Love the cat comment. So deliciously snarky.
Stubby Wan Kenobi on YouTube wrote, I love the book series. This is an excellent adaptation. In the books, the characters are just witnesses for the readers to experience the story through. Those book characters have no real emotional connection. The show brings the characters to the center of the story and adds tons of emotional connection.
Man, that is so good. E.L. Marco says, I anticipate Raj will be a really badass character if this goes where I think it will. That's a spoiler alert right there. And Dooley's Left Legs, our good old friend Dooley's Left Legs says, I've watched the first 4. I've got to finish it. Still not blown away. Over to the pod first. He says, Dickwad Tarley was an awful character. That's what I said about, Bubba, we didn't mention this on the podcast, but I sent this to you and I'm like, Why did they make Samuel such an ass? Dooley says he's glad it's expired. Oh. Can't believe Catfish noticed Varys and we didn't. Just went back to check. Thought it was a wind-up. No, hey, not at all. No wind-ups here.
Not at all. We're going to get to more of your feedback coming up, but we've got to say, we got to talk a bit more, and we do want to ask for your help. You're so kind to watch this on YouTube, download these audio podcasts, stream it on Spotify and things like that. And so, hey, we have been getting a lot of great comments, a lot of great feedback on our social media posts.
Yes, tell me, Bubba. One
thing we haven't had in about a year is a review on Apple Podcasts for our Double P podcast feed. What? So one of you listeners, if you could please help us out and give us an audio podcast review. It always helps on Apple Podcasts when you get new reviews. We haven't had one in about a year. We haven't been, really asking for them too much, but we would love them. And if you go there and you subscribe to our podcast, Double P Podcasts, on Apple Podcast or Spotify or Podomatic, know that we're coming up with so many great podcasts in the month of June 2024. The Acolyte, House of the Dragon Season 2, Babylon Berlin Season 4. It's going to be crazy.
Wow. Now, Bubba, we want everyone to come and help us get more people. People are really fascinated. They want to talk about this show.
They do. And one thing that we always throw in something unique for fun. And because this show has so many science questions, we threw in Science Riddles last week. Listeners, we're going to get to some of you who did great job on the Science Riddles last week, but we've got Science Riddles for this week's. All right, you ready, Catfish? Here we go. Scientist Catfish.
No, I made sure not to look at these. Even though what I really wanted to do was look them up, so at least I'd appear somewhat intelligent. But you know what? I just decided I'm the useful idiot on this show, so I'm gonna maintain that pose.
Okay, here's our first riddle, science riddle for you listeners. You ready? I'm a fundamental particle so small and so neat. In the standard model, I take a front seat. With 6 types of mine in generations complete, what am I in the world of particles elite? Oh, that is tricky. We're going to be giving you the answer to all these science riddles at the very end of the podcast. But please, if you can solve these tricky ones, which admittedly are written for children in school projects, let us know. Catfish, hey, we got even more feedback that will get us into our next discussion point. We've already kind of talked about how Auggie as a character gave us a bit of trouble. So we had this feedback on YouTube where this user wrote, I am much more with Auggie, on Team Auggie, because she doesn't just blindly follow the fascist military secret service guys, but she has at least a little something resembling a moral compass. So Catfish, these two friends, they're the closest friends. They're almost like the first couple of friends we meet when they're hanging out at the bar, Auggie and Jin. They're incredibly tight friends, but they are tackling this completely different. Auggie is like, why am I participating in things that are killing humans? I'm supposed to be on the side of humans. And we're, like in the horrific ship attack in episode 5, we killed a bunch of humans, including innocent kids. Auggie says, to hell with this. Jin is trying to help. She's working with Thomas Wade. She's trying to help humans and solve these things, even if that means one of her good friends, possibly the love of her life, she's sending his head on a mission to outer space. Which team are you on? Are you on Team Auggie or Team Jin or a different team? Let's hear it.
But this reminds me, several years ago, a great British movie came out called Attack the Block.
Oh, yes, and John Boyega.
John Boyega was in it. One the female doctor was in it. I can't remember her name. It was basically a bunch of young thug ruffians going up against the aliens. And a friend of mine said he was Team Alien.
Oh, wow. After Attack the Block?
Yeah. And I thought, you know what? Even though they're ruffians, you got to stick with the human beings. So okay. So because of that, I would say, look, even if some human beings have to suffer, you got to go with Team Human, and whatever needs to be done, Team Human. But my shorter answer is I would take the Santis over Double A. Angsty Auggie. Whatever she decides is wrong. Well, now, what about you, Bubba? Are you Team Auggie or are you Team Jin?
I am also like you, Team Jen. Auggie, what I had a problem with for the character, I love that this person wrote in and was on Team Auggie, but what I had trouble with for Auggie was all she was doing was complaining. She was just complaining. And I'm thinking to myself, watching the show, Auggie, you are a genius. You built this nanofiber technology. You are so smart, and yet you think the best way to do anything is just, backseat complain. I think she has a great point. There probably could have been a way that that innocent person who worked at the Panama Canal didn't have to get sliced and diced. There could have been a way to get these children
Did you say
out.
Innocent person? Like there was only one? There's only one.
No. Well, specifically, remember, she asks about, hey, is somebody from, the canal going to be on the boat? And he's like, yeah, somebody from the canal has to be on the boat because that's the way they navigate through the Panama Canal. And that person is not with this auntie. That person did get slaughtered. I like the idea that she thought about it, but really kind of after that for 2 episodes, it was just negative, nothing positive, no alternative of, hey, instead of doing this, let's do this. And so when that final episode came around and she was using her nanofiber technology to help clean the water in that scenario, once again, it allowed me to come back on her team. But if I had to choose, I would be like Jen. I'd be like, this is something that we need to save. A lot of people say this in some ways is like climate change, where it's like, okay, this problem's going to affect us in 100 years from now. Maybe technology will solve it. Why do I have to do something now? And I am trying to be on the side of, hey, let's pollute our environment and our air less. So I guess in a lot of ways, I if this was real, I would be on Team Jen. I would not want those children to get slaughtered, but I understand the need to take out anybody helping the Santee.
Yeah. I mean, sacrifice has got to be made. Yen decided to sacrifice the entire human race. And, I choose slightly less.
Let me say that we're going to talk about, would you answer listeners' responses to would you answer the do not answer message? And you guys gave us great responses there. Okay, we're going to give you another science riddle. We've got so much to get through. Okay, this one hopefully is a bit easier. Science riddle number 2. Catfish, you ready? I can be good, but I can be bad. You'll find me wherever you go. What am I? I can be good, I can be bad. You'll find me wherever you go. What am I? Got any guesses?
Oh, you didn't make me guess the first one. I thought I didn't have to.
No. Come on, Catfish. Show him your brainage.
My brain is just so sad right now. Okay, I can be good, I can be bad. You'll find me wherever you go. What am I? Juju.
What do you... Juju. Oh, okay, good juju, bad juju.
Good juju, right? Bad juju. Yeah, juju. Okay. It's a very scientific thing, juju.
All right. See, I thought I don't know the answers either. I am Googling them up. I'm Googling these questions. So I can be good, I can be bad. You'll find me wherever you go. What am I? McDonald's. Right, that's terrible. Hey, listeners, you did a great job last time. Write us and let us know how you did on these science questions. We know you did great. All right, Catfish, let's get to something you were talking about just a second ago. It is currently March 31st, 2024. There has been no official confirmation from Netflix that there will be a season 2. There may be tomorrow when we post the podcast, and this discussion will be completely moot. But hopefully it'll be interesting discussion right now. Are you going to be satisfied if Netflix does like they tend to have recently done and stop shows after 1 season? Will you be satisfied if this is only a 1-season show? Catfish, let's hear it.
Funnily enough, this reminded me of another show that I'm actually I would be far more upset that they didn't have another season, and that was 1899.
Oh, I love that you mentioned that, Catfish.
From the creators of one of our favorite crazy ass shows, Dark. I loved 1899. I was so excited when I don't want to ruin it, but the end of that season showed us they were willing to go in a completely new direction.
Yeah.
And I'm really sad to miss out on that. This I'd like to know more, but I would not be as upset. What about you, Bubba?
Well, I love that you went to 1899. This is anecdotal. We say on all our podcasts, you really don't know when streaming services release the numbers. You never know. You never know. And these outside data firms try to guess, but it is a guess. So what I recently saw was one of these outside data firms was like, how many people are watching Three Body Problem? And they said it was just a bit more than 1899.
Oh,
I saw that and I thought, oh no. 1899, one of the reasons why it did not get a second season implied from Netflix was that it was kind of an expensive show to make. This show, Three Body Problems, is got to be like 10 times the cost of 1899. And if the viewership,
well, not 10 times, but I did hear it was $20 million an episode.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, you're right. You're right. That isn't 10 times, but holy smokes. Netflix has this sounds crazy because they invested a lot in 1899 too, but I do think Netflix has invested enough in this to where almost they might have to give us a season 2 just to save face. But when you spend $20 million an episode, you want gangbuster numbers. You want Stranger Things and you want, Wednesday. I'm trying to think of other huge shows. And I'm not sure it's there. Or this show just might naturally cater to a smaller type of audience.
Well, I was completely stunned when 1899 did not get renewed, considering they renewed Dark. Maybe they saw the last season of Dark and thought, well, these guys aren't great with last seasons. Let's just get one more ahead. I did see something one time where basically this article was saying if you have 100 million hours watched in the first week, that usually that is the line. But recently the person who wrote that kind of wrote an update and saw shows that were slightly below that did get picked up again, but they were not this expensive.
I know, 20 million an episode. Youch. Whoa. And for a show based on a book, which is so focused on China, is it true that Netflix isn't in China yet? Wow.
But there's one thing that we did not have on our breakdown that I wanted to talk about because this is a funny thing for me. And one of our great commenters on YouTube, Joseph Andrew Hernandez 2508 says, are the aliens lying about not being able to lie?
Oh, great question.
Then someone commented who seemed to have some basis for this belief. Underworld Paradise -NI4CQ says, it's not that they can't lie, it's that it's a new idea to them. They can't conceal their thoughts from each other. Communication is instant and involuntary among the species. They can and do lie once they're introduced to the concept. They're not quite a hive mind either. Some individual Santee have dissenting attitudes. Now, my only contradiction to that is, when our Lord was talking to Evans, our Lord seemed to indicate that, like, not bringing things up, that lying by omission, that skipping something by omission is also lying, when the Santee are not being above board with their intentions. I don't think. Unless you think what we have from the first person that Ye contacted was, don't keep contacting us, we'll come and destroy you.
Right.
So I have to believe that wasn't someone messing around, and their intention the whole time was to destroy them. And now they're just using this whole lie thing as kind of a, oh no, what? You do that, we're going to have to kill you all. So I don't believe that the Santee really are not liars. Maybe within group, but outside the group, liars.
I think that is a great thought. I would say that the belief to get your opponent to believe you do not lie and cannot lie and never considered lying, that might be the smartest tactic I've ever heard. So once again, another reason to go on Team Santee. I mean, it's pretty smart. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is another reason why we need a season 2. Brilliant thought process. They just learned about lying and now they're going to go, let's try this out. Hey guys, we're going to a different planet, not yours.
All right, Bubba. So in the very last episode, we got this idea that I don't know if it was completely explained very well.
No, it just kind of it was there, right?
It's so one of our teasing questions was, what does a Wallfacer do, and how do you quit the job? So in this last episode, the UN or whatever the UN-ish group says we're going to have these three. They're going to be called Wallfacers. They're going to come up with plans to save the world from the aliens, but they're not going to tell a living soul what their plans are so that the aliens can't hear it. And basically everyone has to do what the Wallfacer tells them or asks them to do. So the good news is they can do whatever they want, and the bad news is that they're constantly marked for death.
Yeah, that is kind of a youch.
This is a good news, bad news situation. So we've got this. So, okay, all right, I'm with it so far.
Yep.
So, of course, the three are, we've got a brilliant military strategist.
Need it. You have to have that.
Got it. Incredibly gifted scientist.
Need it. You have to have it.
And then stoner himbo Saul.
One of these things is not like the other.
So, Bubba.
Yeah.
On this podcast, we do research.
We have to. Yeah. We have to stand out. Yeah.
So I went down to the WGA library, the Writers Guild of America. They have copies of all these scripts, and I made a copy of the original Saul Wallfacer scene, and it's much different than the show version. And so I thought, as a treat for our listeners, we would read it. You could be Saul, and I would just be playing a couple other characters.
So you went down to the WG. This is what they meant to show, and then
they have to register. They have to register the scripts for copyright reasons, all that kind of stuff. And so, and as you know, sometimes things change during shooting.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right. So here we go. Right here. Okay. Yeah. Let's do
right
it.
here.
Let's
so I'll read it. I'll be I'm gonna be. You'll be Saul. I'm gonna be a couple other characters. Okay. Hi, Saul. I'm a master of logic. So I'd like to recruit you to figure out how to get us out of this mess. But you can't ever tell anyone what your ideas or plans are.
Well, listen, sir, I don't have any good ideas, and I'd rather just smoke weed and have meaningless one-night stands. So,
You're hired.
Wait, what? No. I don't want to be a Wallfacer.
Yes. Perfect.
Wait, no. I don't think you're hearing me. You're not going to hire me as Wallfacer.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, absolutely not, sir.
Okay. Thanks.
You are for sure not a Wallfacer, right? Right. Everybody here? He's not a Wallfacer.
Hey, hold on. I'm not sure why you're saying it like that.
Oh, okay. You want me to say it louder, right? Saul is really, really not a Wallfacer, everybody. No Wallfacers over here. He is not a Wallfacer.
Look, buddy, I went to Oxford. Some said I was the smartest in my class. So it should be impossible that I don't get what's going on. But, I don't understand. I can't figure this out. What are you saying?
So, well, first, number one.
Yeah.
And I want to make this clear. You are not a Wallfacer. And then number two, this guy here is named Chuck, and he is going to guard you at all times.
Wait, Chuck? Wait, why?
Well, because Wallfacers are in grave danger, so they need protecting. Chuck is your protector.
But why is he protecting me? You keep saying I'm not a Wallfacer.
No. You have made it perfectly clear that you are not a Wallfacer.
Whew, thank you. Whew.
Chuck, this is Saul, who is definitely not a Wallfacer, and you are to protect him with his life.
But I am not a Wallfacer.
Hi, Saul. It's me, Auggie. In case you couldn't read my hints, you and I are not a couple. I do not want to date you.
Hey, listen, Auggie, you made it very clear. I tried to date you. You don't want to go out with me. We're not a couple. And at this point, that's good, because I got to go scoop up the remains of my one-night stand from the sidewalk.
Wait, you were with another woman? How could you bastard?
Wait, Auggie, why are you upset? Are you jealous?
Of course I'm not jealous, Saul. We're not going out. I forbid you from dating anyone else.
Wait a minute. You can't forbid me, Auggie. Only a girlfriend could forbid me.
That is correct. Your girlfriend could forbid you. Okay. I'm not your girlfriend.
No.
I forbid you.
Wait, hold on now. Hold on. I studied physics, and I can't figure this crap out. You know what? I'm going to go smoke a blunt.
Saul, people have to do whatever Wallfacers ask. So if you asked Auggie to be your girlfriend, she would have to say yes.
Whoa. Have you ever heard of consent? This is getting Games of Thronesy. I'm getting out of here.
Chuck, hurry up and catch him. That brilliant bastard is going to save our species.
I'm not a Wallfacer.
No, you're not.
Augie's not my girlfriend.
No, you're not. Wow.
Wow. Clingy. Stage 4 clinger, Auggie.
Okay, what about Chuck?
Chuck's right.
Chuck's like going into the bathroom with him and shit. Wow.
Chuck is like, in this economy, I'm following.
You know what's interesting is they decided for some reason in the final draft of this to keep Auggie out of this.
Right. That did seem, like you said, it was Game of Thronesy there with the consent in the script.
It complicated the scene. You kind of wonder why they left her out.
What would you do? What would you do if you were Saul? What was the, yes, there's serious things, but would you do anything ridiculously silly, like suddenly say, everybody must call me Emperor?
No, I think it's just free weed for Saul. Hey, you. Give me your weed. Yeah.
Right. I need a lot of weed and listen to some Pink Floyd.
Right. Roger Waters. Pink Floyd has to reunite.
That'd be awesome. Oh, that would be awesome. Force people who hate each other to reunite. We'll get Johnny Marr and Morrissey. We'll get the Smiths back together. Oh, this is great. Santee, you're the best. Now, we have not read the second book, the third book. We don't know where this story is headed. So let's just have a minor speculation corner. Catfish, where do you want to see this story go in season 2? What do you expect from season 2?
Well, I'm a little confused because a lot of people had said these books were unfilmable.
Yep.
Because like Isaac Asimov's Foundation, which also has a series based on it, in TV shows, we like to follow the same people, but Foundation and Three Body Problem, of course, extend over hundreds of years.
Yeah. No, that's a great point.
In Foundation, they sort of played around with it. At least I was kind of bored by Foundation, sadly, so I didn't watch season 2, but I know they kind of fixed the Lee Pace thing by having, cloned emperors, and I don't know how they dealt with the other people. In this one, first of all, we have the Wallfacers set up, right? So these people aren't going to live that long, so we need to see something there. So I would assume it would be, I don't know how we're going to find out what the Wallfacers are doing. They're not supposed to tell anybody. Maybe the first four episodes of next season is Saul just trying to figure out, what the heck am I supposed to do?
Well, how about this? You're an actor. Are you ever worried about being recast when you're like, well, where did they leave your character at the end of season 1? I was just a brain. You have to assume we're going to see Will again, but how? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, presumably if he's off course, maybe there's something the Santee can do to...
Yeah. Come on, Santee. Pick him up.
To grab him.
Yeah.
And they would want to reconstitute him in a form that he would be familiar with.
Oh, wait a minute. What if they, kind of make him a Santee human hybrid, and therefore, because they can't tell, or they can't tell a lie, right? They can disagree because one guy says I'm a pacifist. So maybe he can rally all the pacifists? I don't know. I hadn't thought about that. But you're right. With the threat 400 years in the future, maybe there's a split timeline, because you can't say you do need to see what Saul's doing. You need to be able to figure out what Saul's doing, even if the Santee can't, and he can't say it out loud. You do need to see, why does Auggie exist as a character if she's not going to go forward and do lots of things? So I think it's weird that we've got these two timelines. And how about Tatiana, who we don't ever talk much about? She is just a supporting character, but what I would say the last surviving known character who's on Team Santee. I really want to see what she does. And how about Thomas Wade? I thought Thomas Wade I grew to really like that character. The state he's left at the end of the season, I mean, that's not a good space. He might have to just, I don't even know what to say. When suddenly you cannot trust your eyes, everything you say is going to be heard by the enemy. The enemy controls what you see. I mean, does he need to step down and go live in a home? I mean, eesh.
I know. I thought he was the one who was volunteering to go out, but I guess when it came time for it, he did not want to be disembodied.
Give him, maybe now with what's happening to him, he's like, disembodied me, the hell with this. But really, we desperately need a season 2 so we can see what's going on with Da's son and his plan to ship people to a different planet.
All right, Bubba.
Yeah.
So look, there's ships here, right? There's ships.
Yeah, romantic ships. Yeah, you do.
But we also have physical ships.
Right. So there's the ship that did want Auggie and Saul to get together, Team Soggy. Jin has her boyfriend Raj, so you could have Team Waj, or you could like Jin and Will to somehow across the space and time become a team. So Will and Jin be Team Win. Those are a couple good ships. There's also the worst ship to be on and to support. That's Judgment Day. It went out very poorly.
I mean, last time I was on Judgment Day, I got a splitting headache.
Yo. All right, Catfish, what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about these romances that they're trying to get us engaged in, these relationships, or do you want to talk about the spectacular slice and dice end of Judgment Day, the middle of episode 5, excuse me. That was incredible.
Has to be
incredible.
Slice and dice was amazing and really nice with the, it's not working. And then she's like, oh, it is. It is working. And just losing people left and right. Holy cow. Now, the only thing I would worry about is, had our boy Evans been holding the drive up a little higher,
right,
that might have gotten destroyed.
Well, let's talk about this. So you never got to that point in book 1, because this is, kind of one of the great scenes in book 1 of like, well, what are we going to do? Well, we'll just use 9-0 fibers to slice our enemies down. It is incredible. But as great as that scene is in the book, it presents it pretty much from people watching. You don't get it really presented from the views of people inside the boat. And oh my God, is that incredible. The little paper people being cut in half. Oh man, what would you do? What could you do? Even if you jumped overboard, you have to jump overboard and hope there's no sort of current that's going to pull you through being sliced. Youch, what a way to go.
I mean, you've got to dive down low. I mean, I don't even know what. I mean, they did it. They were like, you know what? We could just do this section, or we could do everything from underneath the water to about 400 feet up. Yeah, let's do that. As far as a plan to get the drive back without it being hurt, seems a little questionable.
Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, I mean, it is incredible. It is thrilling to see such terrible destruction. I'm thinking about the kids. Kids, can you limbo here for a bit?
Limbo where?
Right. Normally in limbo, you just got to, worry about the one at, your neck level. Now you've also got to worry about the one at your foot level. Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, okay. That's kind of the mid-season high point. Let's get to good old Will and the end of the season failure. Did you know that the plan to shoot Will's brain to the Santee would fail? I kept assuming it would. But the show did trick me a little bit where the first 2 bombs went off and I went, okay, maybe this is a chance. But it started going poorly quicker, I guess, than I thought it would. And so what do you think? What do you think about this plan? What did you think about the plan? And then on the less serious thought, Catfish, they're sending his brain to aliens. What would you want from you sent to aliens? Let's hear it. What would be the best part of you that the Santee would get in a rocket-powered ship?
All right. So first of all, I think it's a great plan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite sure. I wasn't paying attention well. Were they going to freeze his brain as well, or was his brain going to stay alive? So his brain
is frozen. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So he's out there. I think this is a great plan.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I was completely shocked that it didn't work, considering, first of all, that was the only reason we had Will in the show. And second of all, they spent so much time on it.
They did.
So
great.
I actually thought it was, for me to think, oh, this is going to succeed like everything else, like the nanofiber slicing the ship. I mean, what do you attach the nanofiber to that doesn't slice the thing the nanofiber's attached to? There's lots of questions there. But this seems like an actual feasible plan. Like, I think we could do this. Well, I don't know if their plan as far as to use the explosions, but I was really shocked that it did not happen. And as we can tell, to answer your question, from how I've responded to these little quizzes you've given us, that sending my brain would not be the best part to send for me. So,
well, what are you going to say?
For good old Catfish, they're going to get my somehow still glorious full head of hair.
Ouch.
That's what they get.
Okay, so you went like, hey, here's something the Santee can really enjoy and appreciate. Will's smart brain, your incredible hair.
Right.
See, I went the other way. The Santee are evil aliens coming to invade. So I'm going to send them something that they won't like. And this goes back to a very personal story from when I was probably a freshman in high school. So, your whole life, I'm my mother's only son. And so she always refers to me, oh, my prince, how you doing, my prince? Why are you doing, my prince? My freshman year of high school, I went and got my hair cut the way I wanted it cut. And I came home and she looks at me because my hair was so tight on the sides. She goes, look at those giant ears, Dumbo. And I had been her prince, up until I was a freshman in high school. You're like, oh, look at this, giant ears, Dumbo. So I'm going to send these giant ears to the Santee. That'll teach them to get what they don't like. Okay, now it's time to transition to our musical expert, buddy M Matt Murdick, our musical expert. And he's got a musical analysis on Ramin Djawadi's score for 3 Bodies. He's a bit tough on it at times, but specifically, he's going to talk about how Ramin uses his score to get emotion across and how there's kind of 3 variations of the scores, just like 3 Bodies.
Today we're going to be talking about 3 bodies of the same music theme, just slightly different ways that it's done. I'm going to say this right off the bat. I am always impressed with the way Ramin conveys emotion. However, with this particular score for this particular season, everything felt kind of like regurgitated Person of Interest or regurgitated Westworld. Now, I don't mean that in that he just literally took themes from those and redid them, but I will say that it's just the same bag of tricks done with slightly different melodies for the most part. And it works. I'm not complaining that it doesn't work. I'm just saying that I'm a little bored with it. I do want to give compliments, especially in the second half of the season, to the music supervisor. That would be Gary Calamar, who did an excellent job picking some tunes, like Lana Del Rey's Video, and especially including Can't Find My Way Home, the Blind Faith song. Really appropriately placed. If you don't know who Gary Calamar is, he's been the music supervisor or in the music department for several productions that you've probably at least heard of, like Cobra Kai, True Blood, 6 Feet Under, Man in the High Castle. Very good at what he does. And the second half of the season was also Ramin's strongest to me, especially the use of the theme that we're going to be talking about today. And that is a theme that is either for Will or Will and Jen, or sometimes Jen thinking about Will, like at the end of the season. You can find it on the official soundtrack for the series by Ramin under at least 2 different cuts, Origami Boats and I See You. It's a beautiful theme. It's very simple, and it sounds like this. I like to talk about things in terms of timbre, rhythm, harmony, and melodic shape. So let's address each of those. First of all, primarily with the timbre, the piano. The piano is used a lot in this score, and this particular theme really shines well, especially the way that he uses it in different registers, which kind of relates us to melodic shape. The shape has a climbing sense to it, but it always falls back down. And that's kind of representative of not only Will and Jen's relationship, but Will's fate, so to speak. Always a guy with hope, but there's always something bringing him back down. In terms of rhythm, let's talk that it is in 6/8, where you get simultaneously a pulse of 2 and a pulse of 3. That gives everything a sense of complexity, no matter how fast or how slow it's played. And it is played at different tempos as well. But the main thing to concentrate on here is, in fact, harmony. And I want you to think of it kind of like this. The melody is the story, but the harmony tells us how to feel about it. Different types of qualities of chords, meaning whether they're major, whether they're minor, whether they're diminished, which note of the chord is the lowest note being played. All of these things shape how we feel about the melody that we're hearing. So the story is Will, or Will and Jen, or Jen thinking about Will. But the harmony tells us how to feel about it. And the way I played it for you first was kind of the simplistic way, the overall outline of what their relationship is. I love how at the end of that, it raises up to a chord that you don't expect. It actually adds a sense of hope, a sense of peacefulness about it, as Will is getting to a place where he has accepted what's happening. He's even accepted that he doesn't have any future with Jen. And the scene with the origami boats is very moving for me, but that is definitely aided by the music. There are a couple of things in that version that make it that way. One is a descending bass line that runs against the main harmony that you just heard me play. Things like this. The way the bass line descends down and then centers itself so that it can give us a sense of a need for resolution and to give us that resolution in a way. But the one that really got me, and it wasn't just because of the emotion of Will's ship, flying way off course, but when you think about the last chord that is played in the straight version that I played at the very front, that's a major chord, and that's what adds that sense of hope, that sense of peacefulness. But as Will's ship is flying off, not only does Ramin take each of the little phrases, he plays them twice the amount of times that he had before. It's the long goodbye, and that's why each phrase is doubled. But he also adds underneath in the harmony the minor equivalent of that major chord that we heard before, making it much sadder. Minor chords tend to be more serious. They feel sadder. Sometimes they feel scarier. Major chords do add that sense of peace, a sense of happiness, a sense of resolve. Here we don't get that. And on top of that, he adds the descending bass line as he repeats the last phrase over and over, this final falling phrase from its highest point, which is the hope of the ship getting out of there, to its lowest point, which is, it's Will's fate. So all of that sounds like this. The repetition of the phrase, I don't want to let you go. The descending bass line, things are getting away. the slow resolve from the dominant chord back to the 1. It feels like it's held out twice as long, and that's because nobody wants to let go of Will. We don't want to see him go. But the final note tells us that at least as far as Jen and Wade and Saul, for now, Will is completely out of reach. Wonderfully done. That's probably the best work that Ramin did in this whole season, in my opinion. And I'll turn it back over to Bubba and Catfish.
Ooh, thank you, Matt. So smart. So good.
I think Matt probably is the only, I know 2 people in my life who even watched Person of Interest. So congratulations to Matt for that.
Good work, Matt. All right. Hey, speaking of people who are much smarter than us, that is you guys, our listeners, who gave us some incredible feedback. And on our prompt last week, where we said, hey, what in the world could cause you? Would you answer the do not answer message? We have great responses, Catfish. So I'll read it right here. Would you answer the do not answer message? What could to answer the do not answer message? What did people say?
All right. Hamlet is dead. A good old loyal listener says, nothing.
Oh, Ilaria Snake on Twitter said, yeah, I'm good. We kind of deserve our own destruction. Possible alien servitude on top of late stage capitalism and environmental disaster is just going too far.
Yeah, really. By the time they get here, try and fix it.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
You know, that's funny. There is a moment in the show where they were talking about, you know, how is it possible that with all these stars that we haven't heard from anybody? And I've heard different theories like, like humans seem to be going through this accelerated stage, and basically there's not a whole lot of time between when you're able to contact people and when you end up destroying your civilization.
Oh no.
All right, and with the thoughts on that, we have Galen Freesey, who says, when someone tells you their alien race is on a universe-wide murder tour, and if you get their attention, you'll be next, believe them.
Oh.
So that is a no from Galen.
Now here's somebody with the opposite. Celine on YouTube wrote, I would act exactly as Yeah did. Wow.
Oh, ouch, ouch, ouch. That is really rough. Now, Cassie says, would you answer? Me, F no.
Oh, but here we go. Somebody, Foundation 3848, wrote in all caps. This is serious, Catfish. All caps. They wrote, I will press the button.
Oh, damn. Damn. All right. Well, Rob Dixon says, no, you have to be in an intensely nihilistic place to do that. I can sympathize why she did it knowing her backstory. And Link Hogthrob at Matt's Test Lab, another good listener, says, Dr. Ye had an entire bucket of effort to answer that.
A great user handle, Spam Filter, wrote, would I answer? The answer is no. I would 100% not reply back to that message. And I wouldn't share it with anyone else either in case some idiot didn't take it seriously and tried to respond.
Go ahead.
I mean, these people have different things, but then here we go. Somebody, Where to Go, wrote, if I'm Yeah, I would press the button till it breaks. Oh, I get it. Somebody, Comfy in Crocs, wrote, you know, what would cause me to push the button? Well, if the showrunners decided to go with the original Santi rather than try Solarians, then I would definitely answer the call. Oh, wait. Whoops.
Oh, man, one off the board here. Got to do it. No Test Channel says if the Santee want Alabama, they can have it.
Ouch. There goes our downloads in Alabama. Another great listener, All Mods
That is sad because nobody reads in Alabama, so they get all their...
Terrible. They're going is terrible. All Mod Cons, another great listener, wrote, I agree with Catfish about the reason why I'd contact the aliens. Ugh. That's tough for Team Trump. Another great double L loyal listener at Harley Camille said, I'm with Catfish. Sorry, Bubba.
I love Bon Jovi. Oh, man.
Ouch, that hurts.
All right. Joseph Andrew Hernandez says, who I mentioned earlier, says, well, no, the alien was pretty clear, although maybe in real life I might not believe it and think it's a prank and say, yeah, sure, buddy, you're an alien and I'm Captain Kirk.
Ouch.
And we get some feedback about the science riddles, Bubba. Before you answer the science riddles, Christopher Flux from last week says, as someone who massively failed science at school, I feel kind of proud that I got 2 of the science questions right.
Very good, Christopher.
Now, a listener, Jovi, appears to be good at science but not at math, because Jovi says they went 2 for 2.
Right. They knew that last question was kind of a joke. So they said, well, we could just skip that.
Oh, no. Silver Scale says got the first and second riddle. The third one was a bit of a stretch. Fun time. Yeah. And thanks for breaking down the season to hopefully 2 videos. This is it.
There we go. Our good buddy Double M just wanted everybody to know he did well on the science riddles. Ooh.
Oh, man, everyone's crushing me. And an old school podcast fan, G. Jones, says, crazy seeing those voices coming out of actual humans. After following you guys' podcast for like a decade, looking forward to hearing and seeing y'all break it down. This is exciting.
Wow. Yeah. Listen, we are an audio podcast. We put our faces up on YouTube so you know who to shake your head at when we make one of our lame jokes. You're like, oh, that terrible person.
If only you'd seen us on video 10 years ago. We were so young.
We were young then. All right. Hey, our final science riddle for the podcast, the science riddle number 3.
Uh-huh.
I'm a ball that can be rolled but never bounced or thrown. What am I?
Oof. Well, I know it's not a bowling ball because I have definitely bounced a few bowling balls down the aisle.
Can be rolled. What can be a ball that can be rolled but never bounced or thrown? What am I? You got to think about the show we're watching and what happened at the very beginning. They were messing up what everybody was seeing. And so the answer to that question is, there an eyeball?
Oh, very nice. Okay, Bubba, let's go back and give the answer to the first 2. The second one was, I can be good, but I can be bad. You'll find me wherever you go. What am I?
Bacteria.
Okay.
Good bacteria, bad bacteria. Find me wherever you go. Okay. Yeah.
Sure. I don't know. I don't know why juju isn't the right answer to that one. I feel like juju is just as good as bacteria.
Fair enough. Okay. Listeners, how'd you guys do? Did you get any of these so far? And we got one more final riddle we got to give you for this week.
That's the tough one. I'm a fundamental particle, so small and so neat. In the standard model, I take a front seat. With 6 types of mind and generations complete. What am I in the world of particles elite?
I am a quark.
Okay. All right. A quark.
Does that make sense to you? It doesn't. I don't know science. I once again, I just Googled high school science riddles. These are what came up.
Why can't you do elementary school science riddles? I want to do science riddles for $2, please, Alex.
Okay. Here we go. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Here's elementary school. You ready?
Okay, let's see if
I can do it. Bacteria was elementary school too. Okay, here we go.
No.
All right, hold on. Now this one's tricky. You ready? When Kelly was 10, she hammered a nail into her favorite tree to mark her height. 5 years later, Kelly returned to the tree to see how much higher the nail was. How much higher would the nail be if the tree grew by 5 inches each year?
But how would you know? Because Sally will have grown.
Kelly, but sure.
Sure. Also her friend Sally. They both would have grown.
This is a trick question, Catfish. Trees grow from the top. So naturally the nail isn't gonna have moved in 5 years. There you go. You like these? You know, we don't do any other shows where science is heavy, but if you want me to pull out some science questions for House of the Dragon, you know, like if you roast an enemy in Dragonfire, how quickly do they turn to ash?
One dragon is flying in the air at 10 miles an hour.
We'll do it. Listeners, we're going to be back in June with 3 big podcasts. First up, we're going to be the Star Wars show, The Acolyte. Then we're going to be back with House of the Dragon Season 2. And then we're going to be back covering Babylon Berlin Season 4. Listeners, give us your feedback. What did you think of this 3-body problem season? Let us know. For everybody here at Double P Media, my name's Bubba. You can find me on a lot of social media apps with the handle Fit and Trim. That's FITTENTRIM at Fit and Trim on social media.
And you can hit me up at GEETOTHEMAN on Instagram and Blue Sky.
Heck yeah. And you'll hear us next time on
Body.
So wait a minute. I think I'm her boyfriend.
You're my girlfriend now.